I once heard a Chinese monk say that true meditation involves one obtaining full self-awareness of themselves, that one could, in theory, become more aware of who they are, what they think, and why they think it. To hear him talk, he made it sound like that if you step into this new sensation, one could further understand themselves on a level that would reduce stress and fear and therefore lead to a healthier life. And maybe that's true for some people. But I've been around far too long to buy into that kind of silliness. Do I think that meditation is a waste of time? Hardly. I do it often enough. But the idea that you will be rid of stress or doubt by better understanding yourself? No. If anything, better understanding of who you are will only make you more self-conscious of just how small you are. How insignificant you are in the grand scheme of things from a practical perspective. And for some, I suppose that's comforting. Knowing that your life and the things you do has little consequence in the grand scheme of things. These are the kind of people who like to fade into the background, to do what they need to do and move on. But for others, for most people, I think, it's sobering. For me, I don't meditate to try and remove my stress. Indeed, I meditate to peer into my own mind, my own world, a place that is both my own paradise and refuge, but also a place that reflects back at me the things that I cherish. I do not believe meditation is a means to relieve your stress or to remove it, more of a place to escape it for a time, to be at peace with yourself, and to remind yourself of the things that you fight for, live for, and care for. And when you focus on these things, that, in turn, will help you through your stress, through your struggles. When you close your eyes and picture the world as you see it, and then compare it to the world of your own imagining, what do you find? Not everyone can answer that question. And there's no shame in not being able to. Not everyone has the desire to give this as much thought as I have. And perhaps I'm the only one. But I do extend this challenge. Were you to close your eyes and envision your own personal world or paradise, what would you find there? Shall I take you inside my mind today? Shall I let you peer into the world of my own vision? Do you want to see what I see when I close my eyes and drift into meditation and dream? Don't be afraid. It's not fields of corpses or skeletons or gravestones. No, the world I see when I close my eyes is one that I wish were my reality. One that I would escape to if I could. I would very much like to describe it for you. Forgive me if the lines on the page appear somewhat jumbled. I shall have to close my eyes to write this and be vivid. You're standing in the middle of an open field. Grass is there, and it ripples like water under gentle breeze that flows softly by. You reach out a hand to feel that breeze, and the air is dry but gentle. I sometimes picture myself as a woman with long hair, so I can enjoy that tickling sensation of strands of hair on my nose, but I digress. You look along, and you see hills, plateaus that rise into the sky. Distant mountains that frame the horizon like jagged but reaching limbs to show you that this world you are in has a precipice. And beyond even that, looking into the gorgeous sky, there is not one color like on Earth, where the color is always blue, gray, or black, but instead it is a sky of various shades of blue, purple, orange, dark indigo, as the sky is filled with wisps of cloud, vapor, mist, and streaks of stars. Planets large enough to see in detail hang suspended as great giants overhead that you would be tempted to reach out to and touch. You may choose to walk along this path and feel the grass on your toes. Yes, please do take off your shoes in my home, won't you? It's only polite not to track your dirt in. Forgive my joke, and we shall proceed. The air is cool, despite the warmth of the sun behind you. Oh, don't look back. Keep walking forward. Take my hand if it helps. I will stand beside you, and you may picture me how you wish, a man, a woman, a child, a friend, a family member, whoever you wish. But I will guide you forward. Take a few steps and note the flowers that grow amongst the grass. They aren't everywhere, but they rise up slightly from the green. Every color can be found among them, except for green, of course. I like to think of these flowers as individuals, select people who made a difference. Out of all the people of all the world throughout history, these flowers are the people who made such a difference as to change the very landscape of history and time. Look onward. Look to the hills from before. Note the stone structure, the jagged nature of the cracks and erosion that constitute their shape, their age and austere position, for even mountains must bend to time. Some look sharp at their peaks, like fangs that pierce the sky, aggressive, but others are rounded and perhaps even snow-capped at the top. No, it's not cold enough for snow here, but the higher you were to climb, you might feel the chill of winter, because I do love winter, and on occasion, I'd like to go to those peaks to sit in the snow and play like a child in the soft glow of white snow meeting never-ending sunset. I do love the sunset, as I said before. The gentle and affectionate touch of the light upon creation creates patterns of color and temperature that I find ever so relaxing. But do come, there's still more. I shall walk you along to see the planets beyond. The grass might tickle a little as you walk, but you will find it a pleasant sensation. And if you listen closely, you may hear it whispering to you. You will hear the softest sound of music on the winds. Not a loud and powerful orchestra, but the softest of psalms. A delicate hymnal to this paradise of mine. Do you imagine music in your own world? Do you think that your imagined paradise should have a musical score to it? I do. And why not? This is my place, my infinity. And look to the worlds beyond us, those planets that float just beyond the horizon, those massive titans. They are not solid in shape necessarily from our perspective. They exist behind the veil of a horizon that does not hide it, and yet does not make it quite solid either. Like gazing through a shower curtain, you may see the color and shape of something, and yet it's not defined. You will see the rolling clouds and rings around these worlds beyond you, and perhaps you feel intimidated by them, reminding you that this world is not one you know, but one in which creation has no limit. And then when you realize that, perhaps you might understand even a taste of what it is like to witness the blossoming and movements of all creation. For I tell you truthfully, humanity has yet to even comprehend the beauty of the cosmos. Creation does not end, nor did it begin with you in this world. This universe is far too grand for that. So even here in my own world, my own paradise does not stop here. It goes far further, further than I could ever walk in 1,000 lifetimes. And for this, I am most sad, and yet I'm also pleased. Could you imagine the possibilities of these massive worlds and what all could yet be found on them? Could you imagine them? Do you think there could be beauty on them like there is here? Do you think that life might blossom there too? Yes, life flourishes here. We sit among the grass, lay back and breathe it in, because that's often how you can tell if something is alive, you know. You check for breathing, and I breathe it. Take in a deep breath yourself and feel this world breathe in time with you. Feel this world that exists only between you and I, this euthymia of ours. And yet, as we walk further, you will notice that the grass gives way to empty ground. There is a small brook that would not be deep enough to wet your ankles, and only a few feet wide at most. Barely a trickle, I'm sure. And the ground around this brook looks strangely parched, like the small piece of life-giving water simply can't sustain all of the land around it. You may look around and see rock surfaces of loose stone and marble. And looking further, you will see the edges of a great forest that rises into the mountains. Up and up they go, beyond your reach, and were you to run to it, you will risk tumbling from the stone walls. There's something lonely in this view. the grass is no longer with us. You feel surrounded on all sides by life, foliage, and the world itself. But you will stand in this brook among dry grass and empty air. It's as if you are trapped down a path you did not mean to walk. I'm sure you're familiar with this sensation of walking or driving down a road or path that you recognize and you're pleased with, but you become distracted, and then the next moment you're on a road or path you don't know, and it looks intimidating and strange. Perhaps you traveled this road longer than you intended, or took a direction you did not expect. You know this path is not the one you want to be on, and yet you cannot get off of it without going back. So instinctively you press on through an unknown direction, hoping that either you'll find your destination at the end of it, or you'll find a way that you do recognize back onto the path you know. So you step out of this brook and dare yourself to approach the edges of the stone walls and structures as they appear, like they once were part of something grander, something lost and forgotten, yet still there, even if broken down now. You may feel somewhat lonely here, not joyful or excited as you were before in the beginning when you stood amongst the grass and the flowers. And I don't blame you. I feel that as well. Lonely. But I also have learned to take solace in this, even perhaps a slight appreciation. Sometimes we have to look at the part of ourselves we aren't so happy about and appreciate it. It's not always to my liking that I am death, that I represent something empty, cold, and more often than not, alone. But I also cannot deny it. So I walk onward down this path. You can go back if you wish, to that part of me that yearns for life and beauty, to that side of the grass that is lush, happy, and desires life so much more than isolation and death. I will walk onward instead. And as you reach out your hand for me, know that I do want to reach back to you, but cannot. And then you may understand, even if slightly, the weight of what I must do and be. I yearn so passionately for life. I want so greatly to partake in its joys and pleasures. That is why you saw the grass, the planets, the mountains, that beautiful, tranquil world. And yet it will always be one part of the dream, because inevitably reality must reestablish itself. And then, with a sigh, we wake up. Did you like seeing it? I hope it wasn't a waste of ink and time. Just sometimes I don't like things the way they are, and I like to escape to my own world, finding an euthymia of my own. I'm sure you have such a place in your heart as well. A state where you are at peace, where you're not afraid, and where you feel at home. If not, I would urge you to take the time, close your eyes, and try to picture a place you would feel most at ease. Perhaps it's in the clouds above us, in that place where reality feels miles below and heaven feels only an arm's reach away, where the gentle caress and softness of the clouds is at your touch. Maybe it's on a boat in the endless sea, the waves that rock you reminding you that there is nothing that can touch you. You are alone in an endless and fathomless body of water that welcomes you like you were its own island sent to drift upon the open ocean, where the waves, the sun, and the sea itself laugh along with you and beckon you on some adventure. Perhaps you're in a field surrounded by animals. Perhaps on a mountain overlooking the worlds beyond. And maybe you see yourself at home with a smell of cinnamon from a scented candle. I cannot claim to know your place of tranquility. Yet I also know that in this nirvana there must be something of a taste of reality there. Something about your world or your life that you might not always be proud of, but something you're aware of and may even appreciate. Family, responsibility, duty, friends. Where do you find them in your peace? Are they your peace? Tell me of your... I find myself forgetting quite often that I'm writing in a diary. Forgive me, I lost myself for a moment and I presumed too much. Is it strange to feel that I'm writing to a friend? Is it strange that I begin to anticipate responses from this friend, though I know that shall never be? Maybe after all this time, this writing is getting to me. but I do love it dearly. Would you permit me to write of these personal things more often? I felt this great desire to share my world with you, and I do not quite know why. I grow very weary merely talking about my job. I want to talk about... No, I will leave things here for now. Maybe I've said too much for one entry. I have to go. Sincerely, Death.